Welcome friends, welcome back to the kitchen. Today we're going to do a really fast chicken in a white wine cream sauce dish. So we're gonna fast fry the chicken sort of part way, stick it in the oven to finish cooking. While it's finishing cooking in the oven, we're going to make a pan sauce with some shallots, mushrooms, cream, white wine. It's gonna be pretty good. So I've got the pan going and I'm gonna melt in some bacon fat. Get that going. While that's melting, we'll season the chicken, salt, and pepper. And we'll do both sides. Fat is melted, so I'll get the chicken in there, skin side down. And I'm just trying to brown the skin and leave some flavor in the bottom of the pan. Between the chicken and the bacon fat, we should get a really, really good sauce. So I'm using boneless thighs, and there's absolutely no significance to that, other than I took the bones out, deboned them, and they're in a container in the freezer because the bones are worth more to me to make chicken stock than they are in this dish. So I usually take the bones out whenever I'm cooking thighs. They also cook a little more evenly, and I find presentation-wise, when it comes to the table, it's so much easier for your guests just to be able to slice them up and eat them rather than, you know, dealing with a bone at the table. And this is one of those dishes that's pretty great for a little dinner party with your friends because everybody gets all excited by the sauce. And really, there's nothing to it. Nothing to it. So I'm going to use white wine tonight. There are times where if I was going to do this with pork chops, and I may do that in the future, I would do the same ingredients with pork chops, except instead of white wine, I would use brandy, and I would flambe it. Because that flambeing step brings a real depth of flavor that works really well with pork. I don't like it so much with chicken, but you might. So if that's your thing, go ahead, swap out the white wine and use brandy. As always, if you don't like cooking with wine or alcohol, leave it out. Not a big deal. Just use a little bit more chicken stock. Okay, this is going to go in the oven. I've got the oven 325 fan. So the chicken will finish cooking in here while we make the sauce on the stovetop. Now, into the same pan, chop shallots and sliced mushrooms. And we're going to saute those until the mushrooms have lost most of their moisture. And obviously, before you add the onions and mushrooms into the pan, take a look at how much oil is in the bottom of the pan. If you need some, put some in. If you think there's too much, take some out. And if you take some out, you can always add a little bit more in later if you need to. I always look at recipes that tell you exactly how much oil to add into the pan at each step to be misleading. Nobody knows how much oil or fat came out of my chicken thighs, or if I used other chicken parts, how much oil or fat came out. So you have to kind of judge that. And that's one of those things that, you know, as you're learning, you'll learn. You'll figure it out. Don't be afraid in the kitchen. Just give it a shot. And I'm looking at that and thinking, I thought I had enough oil in there. I might need a little bit more. So I'll put some in. Just a little bit, not too much. I'm also going to put in a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. Mushrooms and shallots are looking great. This is a point where you need to decide, are your chicken thighs almost cooked? So I'm going to check them. Chicken thighs are almost cooked. So if the chicken thighs weren't, I could stop this process at this point. Turn the heat off, just let the pan sit, everything would be fine, wait for the chicken thighs to catch up. But they're coming along at about the same pace, so I'm going to keep the heat on, and this is where I'm going to pour in some wine. Use a white wine you like. And get that fond off the bottom. I'm going to reduce that wine by at least 2/3, maybe even just a little bit farther. At this point, I'm going to throw in some rosemary. I mean, there's a lot of different things you could put in there. Summer savory, I really like summer savory in this. Rosemary's nice. Herbe de Provence is wonderful. Okay, that's reduced right down. So, next in, chicken stock and some 35% whipping cream. Give that a stir and keep the heat on. Okay, I want to keep the heat on this, bubbling sort of at a low simmer, and I want to cook it until it just thickens. And how much it thickens, totally up to you in your own kitchen, the thickness that you like. There's a complete argument to be made here to throw in a little bit of beurre manié to thicken the sauce. If you've been around long enough, you know that I love beurre manié. Beurre manié literally means beaten butter. And so you take the equal amounts of butter and flour by volume, and it doesn't have to be exact, just to eyeball it. You mash them together. Manié means beaten or mashed. And then you drop it in a little bit by little bit, and it thickens the sauce. You stir it in, and it gives you an incredible, luscious, thickened sauce. And in my mind, it's so much better to thicken this type of sauce at the end with the beurre manié than at the beginning with a roux. At the beginning with a roux, you're not quite sure what's happening later. Here, you can judge it completely, and you can get a better sauce. You have more control over the sauce. My opinion. Totally my opinion. Your opinion may differ. Okay. Get that chicken out. And I'm just going to stick the chicken back in the pan on top of the sauce. Presentation on something like this, totally up to you. You could do it in a smaller pan and take the whole pan to the table. People really like that. Hey, Jules.
Hey, Glen.
People really like that. Or you could put it on a serving platter and put the sauce around it. I'm just doing it this way because that's good. Yeah, it does smell good. I can't wait to eat. Glad you came home because I'm ready to eat. Okay, let's go.
You were saying you made a choice. I interrupted. I'm sorry.
It's just about the presentation. I mean, how are you going to present it at the table? I mean, it's brown on brown, right? So how much great presentation are you going to have?
Well, you know, clearly you're going to want to put it on a dark red or a dark blue, probably not a light blue plate, but that's okay. No, certainly not a beige plate.
Let me get a spoon and we'll get some sauce.
I'll get the forks.
Right, so a little bit of sauce around and over top.
Conveniently, everything is here in the kitchen.
It's like that. I mean, I know people say presentation, 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 but sometimes it's flavor, flavor, flavor. Flavor Flav would say it's flavor, flavor, flavor.
That's exactly where my brain went. Oh my goodness, that's true. Hey,
slice it up, Jules.
All right. Whew.
Right, so serve this with potatoes, mashed potatoes, rice, all the usual suspects.
Asparagus.
Yeah. Oh, can't wait for spring. That sauce is so good.
That sauce is, I'm surprised at the flavor. Tell me what's in that. Because it's got a lovely, I can't really describe the flavor. There's a flavor in it that just kind of brings it to life.
So I fried the chicken in bacon fat.
Of course. Because, you know, why not, right?
And then I took the chicken out and then sauteed shallots and mushrooms. Mm-hmm. Put in a little bit of wine, reduced the wine, and then finished it with some chicken stock and cream. Tiny little bit of rosemary in there.
There's something just that brings it all together really well. I don't know, I can't put my finger on any one thing there, but it all just comes together really nicely. I like that.
Really is an example of Not a whole lot of flavors, not a whole lot of ingredients, but they work well together.
Yeah.
You don't need to bring in a big thing of spice to get everything to taste good. If you use good ingredients, simple ingredients, you can get some really good flavors.
That's nice.
That's really nice. So, give this one a go. Super simple. If you present it correctly, your guests are going to go, ooh, and think that you worked all day, but you know that you didn't. Thanks for stopping by. See you again soon. Thank you, everyone, for making it to the end of the video and for hanging on to watch this next bit. As in past years, in 2026, I will again be raising money for Hope Air. Hope Air is a charity here in Canada that connects people in need of medical care or medical treatments with transportation to get from where they live to where the treatment is available. In Canada, healthcare is universal. Healthcare is freely given to anyone who steps up and says, I need treatment or I need care. The problem exists in the way, the sheer size of Canada's geography and the way our population is distributed. There are some people who live in areas that are underserved by healthcare. And they need to travel to the larger centers, be it Vancouver, Edmonton, Calgary, Toronto, Winnipeg, Montreal, Halifax, or St. John's. There are people who live in Canada's north or in more remote areas where getting to one of those centers to get treatment, be it cancer treatment or ongoing operations for some other health concern, getting to those centers is incredibly difficult, incredibly stressful, especially if it's a child that needs this health care. There are places in Canada where you could be driving 10 or 12 hours to access the treatments that you need. There are places in Canada where there is no road access. You may live in a town that is fly-in only. So what Hope Air does is utilize private pilots like myself who volunteer their time to fly to some of these locations, pick up people, and bring them to the treatment that they need. Or at least bring them to a larger center where they can get on a commercial flight, again, provided by Hope Air, to the city where the treatment is available. And for parents who are bringing their children for this type of healthcare, Hope Air also has partnerships with hotels where they can provide hotel stays for the parents during this, stressful time. For those of us that live in the big cities in Canada, this is something that we don't really think about. But there was a time where Julie and I lived in Northern Ontario, and we lived in towns and villages where, it was 3 hours just to drive to get to a grocery store, let alone drive somewhere where complex medical care could be given. And we were very cognizant of that when we lived there. I'm in the incredibly fortunate position that I can make a change, that you can help make a change. Last year, my viewers, you, donated $40,000 to Hope Air. That's an incredible amount of money. That really changed lives. That helped a lot of people. And I'm so thankful to you that you would open up and do that. It's absolutely incredible. And so for 2026, I'm hoping that we can do that again. In August of 2026, I will again be participating in Give Hope Wings, which is where a bunch of pilots like myself, we go out and we fly around and we raise awareness and we raise money and we sort of put a spotlight on the fact that this charity exists and this need exists and this gap needs to be filled. And so this summer we're going to the East Coast. Some of the highlights are Halifax, St. John's, Newfoundland, Goose Bay, Labrador. Then we're on to Rimouski and Trois-Rivières and ending up again in Sudbury. So I hope you'll come along with me over on the Flying Channel on that trip. Julie and I will be making it this year, and hopefully you will enjoy coming along with us. And if you can donate money to Hope Air, I thank you very much. I also understand that if you don't live in Canada, you may not feel a connection to this. I would hope that you that you could find something in your community that you could help out with. I think that we really need to be a community of people that help each other. That's the only way through this, is to help each other and to give of our time to those that need it. So I thank you very much. So I will put all the links for Hope Air and everything they do in the description box below. Please check them out. And I thank you in advance for however you can help.